I did not give a single exam throughout my entire master's. If you do a master's, you don't get a GPA. A lot of colleges in the US right now don't even ask for your GRE score. It would just type in, and the university kind of have fixed amounts for undergrads and graduate students. Left my job. That was the one thing I was dreading. That every job must be a minimum of $15. You have much more opportunities to interact with people and get to know people. Searching for jobs is still a pain. It's not easy at all. I would advise you to have at least 1 year of job experience before coming to the US.
Hey guys, welcome to College Dunya Study Abroad. This is Varun, and today we have Shreyan with us. Shreyan has pursued his master's in computer science at University of Rochester. He passed out in December 2022. And Shreyan, can you introduce a bit about yourself?
Right. So hello everyone. I'm on YouTube, I think for the first time. And my name is Shreyan, and I have graduated from the University of Rochester in 2022, as Varun mentioned, in computer science. My my interests lie in computer theory and computer systems, which includes algorithms, data structures, distributed computing, parallel computing, and so on. Right now, I am a software engineer at Bloomberg, and I work at the Princeton office in New Jersey.
It's nice, Shreyan. And Shreyan, can you talk a bit about your undergraduation and schooling and what kind of scores you scored along with your master's course actually?
Okay, so I did my BTech in information technology at Manipal Institute of Technology in Manipal from 2013 to 2017. So I passed out in 2017, and I was working for around 4 years before I moved to the US to do my master's.
That's nice. And can we know what's your score in undergrad and what's your score in your master?
So I had a CGPA of 8.76, if I recall correctly, in my bachelor's, and
Okay.
and it's a bit weird for the masters, because if you do a master's, you don't get a GPA over here.
Oh,
Yeah, so my transcript says 0, but I actually got A in all the subjects. So if you calculate, it's like 4 out of 4.
that's interesting. That's an interesting concept. I think only University of Rochester has this kind of thing.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure. I might have to ask some of my friends as well, because
Oh,
I doubt there will be one college in the US who will give you 0 GPA, and the other colleges won't.
okay, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
but the PhD students get a full GPA.
Okay, that's nice. That's actually an interesting topic. So which all universities did you apply when you were planning for masters?
I did have a bunch of ambitious as well as colleges which I felt I could get into as well. So in that, I had University of Rochester. I had some other big colleges like Cornell, and I think I had University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, UIUC.
Okay.
Um, I can't recall some of the other ones. I think I had UCLA as well in it.
Oh, that's nice. And how many admits did you get?
I actually had just that one admit during the year I had applied to University of Rochester. So
So it
from
was just
yeah,
University of Rochester alone by the
yeah,
time you
yeah,
actually came here.
yeah.
Okay, so any particular reason why you chose University of Rochester to apply?
Yes, so at least it was a personal thing that I prefer to have to kind of interact with a smaller group of people, and the University of Rochester CS community has that kind of more like a familial kind of atmosphere where they're kind of it's a double-digit number. So
Okay,
so the person you meet in class, for sure you will see that person the very next day when you are just walking
okay,
in the campus. So it was a thing
that's
that
nice.
and it also makes it easier for you to get time of professors, because there aren't many students. I
Yeah.
have had courses in the college where the number of people were in single digits. So
Oh,
yeah, and I would get ample time to kind of interact with the professor, maybe just before class, or after the class, or maybe even during the office hours, and all of that.
yeah. That's actually an interesting point. Like most of them never concentrate on that aspect, but well, new insight. So, like, did you give any GRE, IELTS, or TOEFL like for during your process?
Yes. Um, I did give GRE and I gave TOEFL. Yeah.
Okay, may I know what are the scores if you remember?
Yeah. So for GRE, I had a score of 330. So that was
Wow,
170 in Quant and 160 in the verbal. I think I
that's
had four in
wonderful.
the writing. For TOEFL, I think I had a score of 116. So I lost 1 mark in each of the sections.
Damn, that's crazy. I mean, like, you have really commendable scores.
Yes, but I think it's a bit too high. More, I think a lot of colleges in the US right now don't even ask for your GRE score, but TOEFL is still important,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
IELTS.
I think COVID has changed a lot of things, like
Yes,
in the whole application process.
yes.
So, can you talk a bit about your SOP and LORs? Like, what did you like in section wise? Like, what did you cover in your SOP, and like, how did you plan your LORs? Like, were they professional or academic?
Okay. So for the LO, I can't exactly remember, but I think I had um, maybe two professional LOs, one given by my manager at that time and another by a teammate with whom I was working. And I
Okay.
had one professor who gave me the LO because it
Mhm.
was almost maybe 3.5 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it was COVID time. Because I was staying in Bangalore, it would have
Hmm.
been easy for me to go to college, but it was
Yeah.
COVID time, so it was a bit more difficult to get to actually go and like personally ask the professor.
Yeah.
I would have gone if it was there was no COVID.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
That's
what
true.
was
Like, it
yeah.
was really, really tough time that time.
Yeah, yeah. And for my SOP, I can't exactly recall at the moment, but what I had written at that point was some of my interests, some of the fields in which I was interested in
Hmm.
computer science. So again, computer theory and distributed systems,
Okay.
as well as like I had mentioned maybe like one or two professors with whom I was interested in working or whose work kind of interested which made me interested in applying at the University of Rochester.
That's nice. So you've covered them in the section wise, I guess.
Yeah,
And let's talk about the course structure. How is MSCS at University of Rochester? Like, what is the course curriculum like?
right. Let me begin with masters. So it's at least at the University of Rochester, it's very simple. The course structure, you take the subjects you want. Um,
Hmm.
each subject is 4 credits. Like
Okay.
most of the subjects are 4 credits. You need 30 credits to pass. If
Okay.
you do a summer internship, you get 1 credit. Um,
Okay.
it's mandatory to take 18 credits worth of subject which is in computer science, and the rest you can take from other um, departments, but you need
Okay.
approval from your advisor, and you kind of
Okay.
have to like explain why it is important for you. So you
Okay.
can go and take
So the
computer science.
electives.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not mandatory that you have to take 12 credits from outside the department, but you can take, and
Okay.
you have the option of taking 6 research credits during your time spread across any semester. So it's not like you have to
Hmm.
take 6 credits at one shot. You can take 2 credits each semester. You can take four
Nice.
credits in the semester, or like you can take 1 credit each semester. Like it's up to you
So
to.
it's very comfortable, like it's very
Yeah,
flexible. At
yeah,
the end, you have to finish 30 credits if I'm not wrong.
yes.
Okay, that's nice. So what is the fee structure like?
Okay. So you pay per credit that you take. As far as I remember, per credit we had to pay around $1,700 per credit.
Okay.
But we had like around 30% scholarship. So
Oh,
it, it,
that's
it
nice.
it would come down to around $1,200
Okay,
per
so
credit.
1200 it would be roughly around 30,000. No, wait, 36,000.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. And like scholarship, when as you mentioned, like 30% scholarship, is it for everyone, or like what is the criteria for the scholarship? And
That's merit scholarship. It depends on like your
oh,
past work and what you wrote in your SOP and stuff like that, I would guess.
so as you mentioned, the scholarship is on merit based, right?
Yes.
And are there any other kind of scholarships, any scholarships that you can apply for when you're applying to the university?
Not at the University of Rochester, no.
Okay. And how are the teaching assistantships and research assistantship opportunities? Is it easy to get, or like how competitive it can be?
I mean, I don't think it's very competitive because it's a small department. The only issue you might face is that the PhD students, they have to mandatorily be TAs after their third or fourth semesters. So if
Okay.
there is a PhD student who is already a TA in the course, you may not get the chance. But the thing is, the professors would still communicate any positions that are open in their course that they might be teaching next year. So keep an eye out
Okay.
on that, I would say. You can also talk to the professor, but they would usually circulate that information.
Okay, that's nice. Okay. Well, I think this is one of the advantages having a small community, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
nice. So, were you doing any part-time job when you were studying?
Not me, but my friends were. And
Okay.
I was doing a research assistantship.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for my second and third semester.
Okay.
But there was no part-time job as such.
Okay. Well, then let's first talk about your research assistantship. Like, what was it paying? Like, was the fee waived off, or like is just stipend? Like, can you talk a bit about that?
So it was just stipend. It was just stipend, and the university kind of have like fixed amounts for undergrads and graduate students
So what is
for
it for the
the
graduates?
and when I say graduates, it doesn't include the PhD students because the PhD students
Yeah.
already
Yes.
get paid. They get paid, and they can't like get paid on top of that.
Yeah.
So when I say graduates, we mostly masters, and I think in the department, like everyone gets paid like $20 an hour.
Oh, that's some good money.
Yes, but if
20
you are
hours,
in
right?
some and if you are able to secure research assistantships in other departments, they other departments also look for like CS grads for their research work. They might pay more.
That's nice. That's nice. So it's because like they're getting you from your own department to their department. Is that the reason
Yeah,
to pay more or something?
I have no idea on the logistics of that, but
So
that's what I have seen.
got it. And so what are the other part-time opportunities that you were talking about, like your friends?
Yeah, so you have like positions in different departments. Like you can be some. There are positions I've seen like at the office. So if you can work as a uh, how do I say this?
Like office assistants or something, desk assistants and such stuff,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mean?
something like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And all these jobs, let's talk on average number. Like, what is the salary? What is the minimum salary for a part-time job at your university?
So it is $15. UFR has set it to $15 minimum once that minimum wages was increased.
Okay.
Then the university also followed and they say like every job must be a minimum of $15.
Okay, that's good money as well. So I think it is more than enough for your living situation. But let's talk more about living expenses over the interview. So coming to the future prospects of the course, what are the future prospects like in terms of job? Is the university helping you to find a job? I know you landed in one of the jobs, so how was that?
Okay, maybe I'll first answer the question whether the university helps you or not. Usually, like you might also be familiar with this, but there'll be like a college portal, which will let you like apply to jobs from
Yeah.
the college portal. I forgot the name. I forgot the name of that portal though.
Yeah.
I forgot the name, but it would usually show positions that are mainly for college graduates,
Okay.
right? And you would also kind of get messaged about any kind of openings or and
Okay.
stuff like that. Yeah, if the recruiter likes your profile, it's kind of like a mini LinkedIn over there.
Okay. You mean about the handshake?
Yes, that's the name, Handshake. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's nice.
And also sometimes the department will be contacted directly by someone who is looking to hire, and then it'll be they'll directly message the department coordinator, either for
Okay.
masters or for PhD or for the undergrad,
Okay.
and they would kind of forward it to students who might be like looking for a job as well.
That's really nice. So, what would you say is the probability of finding a job, like a full-time job after you graduate? Like, consider both pre this situation, recession situation, and like right now.
I think right now it's very difficult. But if I look at the statistics, a
Yeah.
lot of my friends, at least at UFR, they did find a job. Uh, it wasn't easy for them, but they still landed jobs. But I still know people who are not at UFR who did not land jobs.
Okay.
And
So,
yeah, so
can you give me like a ballpark number? Like, what percent you would say?
what percent
Just
I'll have to calculate, but
no, just a rough number. Like,
see, among my friends, they all have jobs.
okay, then it's difficult to calculate, I
Eh,
guess.
yes, yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But I would still say like finding a job, and you might also be aware, is more about your past experience and and how you write your resume. Compared to the college you go to, for most of the cases, unless you
Okay.
are applying to some very particular companies that are choosy about their colleges.
Okay.
You it's mainly dependent on that, and because I had past experience, I was not looking at new grad roles.
Yeah.
I was looking at more of traditional software engineering
Intermediate
roles.
level, I guess.
Yeah. Intermediate level, or just a normal software engineering role.
Got it. Okay.
Right.
That's something interesting. Maybe that was one of the things that helped you land a job quickly, given the
Yes,
situation as well.
yeah. And also because we were talking about this before our call, that I had applied much before I was
Yeah.
graduating, right? Before all of this happened, in fact.
Yes. And do you think it is always advisable to apply way before you graduate?
See, you can try your luck. It's nothing about advisable. You can try your luck. I
Okay.
had actually applied to other companies as well during that time, and I had got callbacks from them. But the thing was, when I went into the call with the recruiter, and they realized I'm not graduating immediately, they kind of told me to come back later.
Okay.
Right, and
So
they
it depends on
rejected
the
my
requirement
application.
as well.
Yeah, it depends on the requirement as well. But Bloomberg was one of the companies that said, fine, you interview, and we will see when you can join.
Okay, that's nice.
Some of the other bigger
So
companies
it's the
will
luck
also do that.
factor that comes into picture, I guess.
Yeah, there is a bit of luck involved, but apply to as many as you can. And I would say, like, yeah, don't be like, I'm not prepared, or it's too early to apply. I don't think there's a concept of too early to apply.
Got it.
Uh,
That's some
Considering what
nice
happened to
advice
me.
there. Yep, you are a live example, I guess.
Yeah.
So, what are the average salaries that you can expect once you graduate from your course or your university?
That is another difficult question.
Just a ballpark number, like, what do you think?
It depends on your experience and the company that you get into.
Okay.
So you can expect anything from 70 all the way up to like 180 to 200K even, I think.
So it's all on your profile and your experience, we would say.
Yes.
So let's say you have a 4-year experience. So what are you earning right now, if you're okay to share?
Well, that would be a bit problematic for me because this will be going live. I can tell you later, maybe, but
all right. Okay, if you're not allowed to share it publicly, then that's fine. Okay.
But I can tell you one thing. Maybe I can tell you one thing. If you want to see salaries,
let's do this. Give me a bracket.
If you want to see salaries, go to levels.fyi. You will get accurate salaries over there for any company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some good tip. So Which companies like commonly hire from your university? Like, are there any companies like really frequently like hire people
I'm not sure though, because again, there's so few students in the department. It's not like they come and like scoop up a lot of
of this
students.
size, kind of? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I don't have a number like that, but I know people like who have got into good companies from Rochester, so
So
like
there is
Google.
no company like really commonly hiring, like not just the big companies. I mean, like any company, any a local nearby company, like the
Yeah,
regional company.
yeah. So definitely there are a couple of regional companies. One of them is called Mindex, I guess. I think they are called
Okay.
Mindex. So they are a regional company in Rochester. One of
Mm-hmm.
they have a big client called Paychex,
Okay.
which is a Fortune 500 company, and they
Okay.
develop software for them. I'd say
Nice.
it's a good company uh, in Rochester.
Okay. Nice. So let's talk about your first impression when you've come to US and like when you reached your university. How was it? Like, what were your feelings? Like when you first landed in US?
Yeah, so I think I traveled with a friend, and we both landed at way late at night, around maybe 11 p.m.
Okay.
And our first impression was like, this is like huge, like the place is
Uh-huh.
huge over here. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and the very next day we were kind of roaming around, and it confirmed our initial reaction that yeah, this place is like quite big. And it's
Yeah.
quite empty as well. Like when you're walking on the streets, if you're not in a big city like NYC, you won't see people like walking around in the streets at any
Yeah.
point in time. uh, I don't know if it happens for you as well. Like most of the streets
Yep.
are like
I think I can agree with that. Like it's completely empty. Yep.
it's
And
yeah,
also like it's not like in India like how the nightlife is here. After 8 or 9, it's all
yeah,
done. Like it's all closed.
yeah,
Other
yeah.
than these big cities like LA or New York or like Vegas and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, so it was like when me and my friends we go out for a party, we come back by 9:30 p.m. Like what?
And being from Manipal, that should feel really awkward, weird for you.
Yes, I guess so. Though I was not a party person, but it still feels weird because I was out in Manipur like till 10:30 p.m. even, right?
Uh-huh.
And at least till 10:30 p.m. Right? And that
That's
was
true.
not late for me.
Exactly. Yeah. So, how's the Indian community at Rochester? Like, and also like, can you talk about like how diverse it is in terms of with respect to the Indian community?
Hmm. Okay. So for that, there is like at UFR, there's like a group called the RIA, Rochester Indian Association. And
Okay.
if you are like a new person coming into Rochester, you will somehow be contacted by them, and you will kind of be
Hmm.
added like even before you reach Rochester. So you kind
Oh,
of already have access to kind of the Indian community over there, and there will be like the standard events.
okay.
Like Holi, Diwali, and all of that stuff may not be on the
Okay.
days that is actually happening in India, because it'll snow, it'll rain,
Yes.
it may not, but it does happen.
They do celebrate them in
Yes,
some or the other point of the time,
yes,
I guess.
yes, yes, yes.
And how's the diversity? Like, are there too many Indians or like,
No,
what would you say?
no,
No.
there aren't too many Indians. No.
That's an interesting point again. Like some people might actually consider that. Okay, that's nice. And let's talk about your current, like your living situation back in university. So were you
Yeah.
staying near to the university or away from the university?
So I stayed at a university housing, and they had a bus or shuttle which would like go between the
Okay,
college and the university housings. So there are three university housings over there. The
okay,
shuttle would like go through all of them and drop
okay,
you on campus. So
okay.
it's
So
around
you were
20
staying on
minutes.
campus. You were not
I,
staying off
I
campus.
no, I was staying kind of off campus. It was outside the campus, but it was kind of managed by the university.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting thing. So, what were you paying for the rent and what type of accommodation you had, like a single or the shared, or what was it like?
Yeah, so I stayed with my friends. Like there were three of us, It was the town home, so it was 3 bedroom and 1 bathroom.
Okay.
There were 2 floors on it. So the ground floor was like kitchen, living area, and then
Yeah.
top floor was like 3 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Okay.
Per person, we were like kind of paying around $370 per month, and
Okay, that's decent
yeah, but then it kind of got increased by a little bit, so we started paying around $400 per month.
per month. And that included your utilities as well, or they are also?
No, those are separate. So if you stay in a townhome, which is for like a family, you have to pay the utilities separately. So, but if you stay in
Okay.
a apartment per se, which is like for 2 people, the rent includes the utilities, as far as I understand.
And how much would that rent be? Any idea?
So it usually fluctuates. Okay, one month you will get like around $55, and the next month you will get like less than $30. So you'll get like around
Okay.
$25 to $30.
That's the utilities for you. Okay.
That's the utilities.
And what about the rent for those apartments, which you said utilities are included?
Yeah, the cost of the apartment and the townhomes are the same. So as far as I remember, it's around. It was originally $1,096. So whether you were in a two bedroom apartment or a 3 bedroom townhome, it was the same cost.
Okay,
But the 2 bedroom
1,096.
1,096, but the 2 bedroom one was a bit bigger, as you can imagine. Like there are two
Yeah,
bedrooms, so you would get
the
a bigger
more
bedroom.
size. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay, that's nice. And okay, we've spoken about rent. What about the other expenses like groceries or the other bills like phone or internet? May I know like how much does that cost? Let's talk about groceries and then the other expenses.
So I should have actually tracked how much I had spent in groceries, but I don't think it would be more than $80 to $100 per month. That is, I think, a higher number, I'm sure.
So,
It wasn't that much. My living situation was a bit weird, because I had 3 other friends who stay very near. So we kind of like
mhm.
pool all of the 6 of our groceries together.
Okay.
And yeah, and share among the 6 of us. So
So,
because of
so,
that,
so a ballpark number would be how much?
I have no idea. Like usually, if we go and buy stuff, it would come between $80 to $100, but that's for six
Okay.
people. So if you
Yeah,
divide that, you think like around what, 20, 15
40
dollars,
to 20. Yeah, yeah, I think around that. That's around, yeah, $15 to $20.
$15 to $20. But then we would buy it in bulk and just keep
Yeah,
it for yeah,
that's a
yeah.
smart move, I guess. And that you would spend just that much in the whole month?
Not quite, but we would maybe like order maybe twice or three
So
times.
let's keep it at $50, you would say,
Yeah,
50 to $60.
I would say that
Oh, okay,
that
that's
is
decent.
yeah.
Yeah, and any other expenses you think about, like phone, internet, and all? Like, what would be the total? Like,
Okay. So phone, for majority of my time, I was using Mint, which was like $15 per month if you got the 1 year plan, right? So out of the 1.5 years, I used Mint for a year, and then I had got like some promo for 3 months. And
got
the last 3 months, I kind of struggled through by paying $25 per month for 3 months. And now
okay,
I'm on an AT&T plan that's like unlimited $30 per month.
got it. Okay, okay, let's do this one thing. I know you don't remember all the money expenses that you were spending, but can you give me a rough number, like monthly expenses that someone would spend, an
Around
average number,
500, I would
someone
say
who
like,
studies?
I would say like if you don't splurge a lot, right? Like if you're the kind of person who doesn't like order a lot of side dishes or like desserts, you're like, I must have like something sweet after dinner and all of that. If you're not that kind of a person, you should be able to manage it under like maybe $600 if you're not staying alone. If you're not staying alone, like you are staying with another person,
A group of
or like
people, I guess.
a group of people. Like I would say the bigger the group, the more you will save money on, and as well as like
That's very, I think that's very
time as well.
reasonable amount. 600 is like, in the situations, I think most states cost way more. So that's actually nice.
Yes.
So, like in general, like someone who's working part-time, like what would they earn on an average per month?
As I say, like minimum they can earn is $15 if you're in CS. $15 an hour.
15, 20 for, okay. So
right?
300 for 1200 around.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1000 to 1200. That's a really good, I think, part-time earnings, I guess. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, that's nice. So, uh, one other thing I wanted to ask, can you share like a one good experience and one bad experience that you had throughout your masters
So
till
one
now, or
like,
maybe?
I'll maybe give a blanket statement about a good experience is that uh, like the way like you have much more opportunities to interact with people and get to know people. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's easier for me because I'm an introvert, but I could still
Mm-hmm.
like make friends. Like if you have like a class of 200 people, uh, just in your like one subject, and you get to meet like 200 other people in different subjects, right?
Yeah,
It's like overwhelming for me. I will not be able to make a single friend like that. Like there
yeah,
are people, okay, like I know people at your far who can make like 200 friends maybe in every subject, okay, but I'm not
yeah.
like that. So uh, I would say, and I was able to also because the because a single like cohort is so small. Like my master's batch had only 26 students, I think,
Okay,
right?
that's a really
So
small one, and I think you were really comfortable to make friends there.
yes, and one more thing was that because of that, like usually the courses are kind of combined, so you will get undergrads, masters, and PhD students
Hmm.
in one class, right? And combined
Okay,
with all of that, you might get like 30 students total, right?
that's nice.
And you could like kind of get to know them because a lot of the uh, work would be like group based, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd like
Yeah,
work in a group and you'll get to know them, and the very next day you like walk into a department, you'll get to see them and you'll be like, hey, how is it going and
yeah.
all of that, right?
So I guess you really were really you were really comfortable studying at your far then.
Yes.
So is
Yes.
there any bad experience that you
um,
had or you would remember?
in terms of academics, no. Like if you just do your assignments and stuff. And one more thing, one maybe I'll give one more good experience was that I did not give a single exam throughout my entire like masters.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It was all project-based finals
Yeah,
then?
it was all project based, or yeah, all of them were like project based or presentation based. So I either
Okay,
had to give a final presentation or I had to give a final
got it.
project. Um,
That's
uh,
nice.
yeah. Bad experience. Bad
If you don't
experience.
have any, that's
No,
like
I would say like searching for jobs is still a pain. It's still
okay, yeah.
it's not easy at all. It's I was dreading this, and when I left my job, that was the one thing I was dreading, that I have to find a new job again, and that too in the US, right?
Yes,
Uh, and it's not something that the college can do anything about it,
yes.
but I would say you have to be mentally prepared to be able to
Take that
uh,
challenge, I guess. Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
I totally agree
yeah,
to that.
and they're like, yeah, and you see so many posts on LinkedIn nowadays as well that like people are not able to find jobs, and you would also think
Hmm.
like, will I be able to find a job, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah, so it's kind of difficult, and I wish it was better.
yeah. I too. But yeah, you have to be prepared for that self-doubting phase and you have to overcome that, I guess. So another question for you, and then let's conclude. The thing is, like, do you have any advices for the upcoming aspirants, like who are planning to pursue their masters?
Um, I'd say, looking at the current scenario, if you are coming to pursue masters at University of Rochester and you don't plan on staying and doing a PhD over there, I would advise you to have like at least 1 year of job experience before coming to the US. It's not at University of Rochester. In almost like most of the colleges, if you're like
Yes,
coming, I would suggest you to have 1.5 years of work experience, and be able to
that's
like write
nice advice.
something. Yeah, and maybe the second advice, might have a lot of advices, but let's see how many I can get through and how many you allow. The second advice I would say is that make try to make use of a resume screener that your college provides. Like University of Rochester gives you a
Hmm.
tool called Quincia, with which I was
Okay.
like redoing my resume before applying to Bloomberg and other companies. And
Okay.
that kind of helped me. So make sure if you have access to such a resume screener, use it, fix your resume and work on it. I would say if you have spent just a day or two making your resume, you haven't done it right. You should spend 3 weeks to a month for your resume.
Okay.
For a
Okay.
job right now. It's the situation, unfortunately.
Yes,
And
that's so
yes,
true. Like I totally agree to that.
right. And maybe I don't think I have any other advice. Like,
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like you've given really good advices already because that's pretty important for given situation. I mean, like on in my personal opinion, waiting on that, like waiting on coming here, rather you work for a while, gain some experience, have something to put on your resume. That really helps out. At least you stand out from many other people. That's
right,
true.
right, right. So
Yeah,
even if you don't stand out with your college, you can stand out with your experience at least. And
got
experience
it.
is like gold
Yes.
standard for finding a job.
That's true. That's so true. And especially in the US, they do see only the experience more than the university. Yeah. Anyways, it was really nice having you here, and thank you so much for sharing your experience. And also, all the best with your new job. I hope
Thank
you
you.
really love it. All right, then.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Yeah, you too.
कॉलेज दुनिया लेकर आ रहा है इंडियाज बिगेस्ट एजुकेशन फेयर। याद रहे 6th and 7th ऑफ मई। जगह प्रगति मैदान। रजिस्टर करने के लिए कॉल करें नीचे दिए गए नंबर पर या क्लिक करें अप्लाई नाउ बटन पर।